Hey guys, today I want to go over 10 different side hustles that can bring you extra cash. These side gigs can range from having no skills at all to having some skills or even expertise skills in some areas. And before we get into it, if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, I would really appreciate it. Let's get started. Alright, starting off with the first one, rental income. Now, it may not be for everyone, whether you just aren't comfortable with doing it or maybe you just don't have the funds for it. Either way, it is still a great way to gain some extra income. So there are different routes you can go down with doing rental income, whether you want to buy an apartment complex and rent out the units, or maybe you just want to purchase a home and maybe rent it out to someone. There are a bunch of different options. One that I recommend is finding a multiplex that is a house that is more than 2 units. What's so great about doing this is that you have 2 units in a home, so you can either rent them both out if you already have a home to live in, or you can rent out one space in that home and live in the other one and cover your mortgage with that expense of renting the other apartment out. So a great way to have virtually no mortgage. Next, we have dog walking. With dog walking, there are a bunch of different opportunities to get started, whether they range from apps or Craigslist or just knocking on people's doors. There are a bunch of different ways you can do it, so let's kind of get into each. If you want to go on the app side, there are a bunch of different apps that offer these services, but some of the more commonly known ones are Wag and Rover. They have been established for a few years now, and they are solely app-based. One of the really cool features that they do offer is creating your own schedule. Once you're ready to start working, all you have to do is open up the app, look to see what dogs are available to walk, and then select that dog, and boom, you have your first appointment to go walk a dog. Now, in terms of getting paid through the app, depending on how long you walked a dog for, you'll get paid a range of different amounts. The owner of the dog can also tip you as well. That's up to them, obviously, but if they feel you did a good job, they may send that your way, but don't expect too much, of course, because it's just walking a dog, so I wouldn't expect more than a few dollars from that. One of the issues that happens with these apps, though, is that sometimes there are a lack of dogs or they get taken up very fast. So you may have to be kind of on it and quick to get a dog before someone else does. Another issue with this is that sometimes you have to travel a long distance for the dog, and it may not be worth the amount of time you have to walk the dog and the amount they're willing to pay you for it. If you don't live in an area that supports those apps, you can also just go onto Craigslist and make ads, put flyers around town, or even go door to door in your local neighborhood. And a benefit to doing this is that you don't have to lose any money to those third-party apps. Next is dog boarding. This is similar to dog walking and is part of it, but what it entails is that you host a dog at your home for a certain amount of time that is specified by the owner. Of course, you have to be comfortable with this as a random dog would be in your home, but the payout can be very good. So for just boarding a dog for one night, it can range from $50 to $70. Now, if you think about that, putting it into perspective of maybe boarding a dog for a weekend or even a whole week, that can add up to hundreds of dollars. Now, taking it back to basics, next I want to go over mowing lawns. Since we were kids, this is what we did. We went and mowed our parents' lawn. We mowed maybe our neighbor's lawn for some cash. It is a great side hustle to this day to make extra cash. Now, this does require you to have a lawnmower and, of course, gas to power it, but the cost-benefit ratio to it is well worth it. If you do live in a neighborhood, most people are willing to maybe give you a shot and do a test run with you to mow their lawn. There are, elderly people that can't mow their lawn and have services, so maybe you can go in and lower the price that they pay for someone else to do it, and you can step in and do it instead. And if you're trying to acquire new customers, you can go around the neighborhood and see if people are willing to ditch their service for you and give them a discount. Next, I want to get into dividends. They can be a great way to gain extra income, but they do come at a cost. First, you do need to own a stock in order to receive that dividend. Next, you have to hold on to that stock in order to receive that dividend. And lastly, you also need to have the funds in order to support buying those stocks to receive those dividends. And in order to make a large sum of money from those dividends, you have to put in a large sum of money to receive those dividends. And there are risks to this as well. For one, if you hold a stock to get its dividend, that stock can lose value as well before you even get the dividend, so you already lost money there. So next I want to get into starting a business. What's really cool about this is that there are a bunch of different ways you can approach starting a business, but I want to focus more on the side of maybe creating a product or reselling a product. Now, I'd rather focus on the e-commerce side of business as brick and mortar stores are kind of being obsolete now, and it costs way less to just host a store online. There are a bunch of different sources you can use in order to start selling a product, such as Amazon, you have Etsy, there's Shopify, and even eBay. Now, there is another business you can start, and that could be drop shipping. I personally wouldn't recommend it. I don't think it's a viable option right now, as most people have already been exposed to the information and everyone is trying it. Next, I want to go over being a delivery driver. Being a delivery driver is not the same as it was 10 years ago. Back then, you'd have to go and ask a restaurant if you can deliver for them, go through a process, make sure you have a car, all these different things. Now, if you have a car, all you have to do is download these apps and you can just start delivering whenever you want. There are apps out there such as Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, and even Postmates. These are great because you become your own boss, you set your own schedule. When you're ready to go online, you can go online. And what's really cool about these apps is if you do work really hard, you can make a lot of money if you put in those hours. For instance, there was a guy that made $8,000 in 1 month from grinding on this app. He had worked 12 hours for the entire month, and that is a big stretch, and most people wouldn't do that. But just to show you that you can make a lot of money if you wanted to and put in that time. And what's really neat about these apps is the accessibility of your situation, whether you have a car or you have a bike or you just want to walk. You can still deliver on these apps. If you do think this is a good option for you, they will run background checks on you and run your license, so be aware of that as well. Next, let's go over Fiverr. Fiverr can range from you having 0 to no skills or having expertise skills in a subject. You can do everything from video editing, voiceovers, logo design, photo editing, you name it, you can do it. All you have to do is sign up for the service, create your own gig, set a price, and make it live. Then all you have to do is wait for your next customer to show up. And make sure that if you do get a gig, that you do a quality job in a timely fashion, as customer reviews are very important on Fiverr and can make or break your gig. Now, really the only downside to Fiverr is that they do take a 20% cut out of your gig. Next, we have Taskrabbit. It's a very similar platform to Fiverr, except the services are usually done in person. These tasks can range from having moving services, cleaning services, or putting furniture together, and even planting flowers. Now, just like Fiverr, they do take a fee. It's a little less. It's going to be 15% of what your task was. Last thing I want to go over is YouTube and Twitch. Now, these side hustles can take a little longer to see some revenue, as they do take time to curate. Each of the platforms are different, but both of them require gaining an audience. Whether you want to make videos for people on YouTube or stream to people on Twitch, if you get that audience, you can gain very high revenue streams. Before we go, don't forget I do have a monthly giveaway. The details are in the description below if you're interested. Thanks for watching.